This is a movie that'll make you look at the visual effects in both Interstellar and Inception and make you go, that's adorable. They think they're Doctor Strange. Marvel's Doctor Strange is the 14th, I repeat, 14th Marvel Cinematic Universe film, and follows Stephen Strange, played by Benedict Cumberbatch, who is a brilliant neurosurgeon who suddenly finds himself in a car accident and loses the use of his hands. So he travels to Nepal in hopes to find somebody who can help him heal. He comes across the Ancient One, and soon realizes that both the world and universe is much larger than he originally thought. And I'll leave it at that. Now, I unfortunately didn't get to see the 15-minute IMAX preview that they had for Marvel's Doctor Strange, but I did get to see the preview that they had at Disney's California Adventure when I recently went there. And when I saw that preview, I thought, holy shit, this movie looks incredible. Like, visually, it looks astounding. I cannot wait to see this movie, and the little preview that they showed at California Adventure is just a taste of what Doctor Strange has to offer. This is actually, in terms of visuals, this is probably the most visually immersive and creative film of this year. I would be shocked if this movie did not win the Oscar for Best Visual Effects, because they are that good. I saw this in 2D, and I would just imagine that seeing this in 3D would be that much more spectacular, because they do so many creative things with the cityscapes, and just the power sources of each of the characters is incredible. And it has some pretty fun action sequences. While they might not all be well filmed, the creativity of these action sequences definitely helps it be a little better than it should. Now, I'm talking about the special effects, and that really is the standout of the movie. But the movie does have a really great origin story and a terrific cast to pull it off. Benedict Cumberbatch plays Dr. Stephen Strange, the title character, and he does a fantastic job. When I saw Benedict Cumberbatch in Black Mass, I thought, you know what, he's a really good actor, but he's not really pulling off the American accent. It just feels like he's trying hard. In this movie, he nails an American accent. He does a really good job. And what I really love about Stephen Strange as a character is that he's very much like Tony Stark. He's somebody who's very arrogant, egotistical, and thinks that he's the best at everything. Or at least in his case of being a neurosurgeon. And then once he goes on his hero's journey, he actually starts to learn more to try to be a better person. So in the end, Benedict Cumberbatch did a really good job. Now, the biggest point of controversy with this movie is casting Tilda Swinton as the Ancient One, who I've never read Doctor Strange. This is one of those Marvel characters that I'm not very familiar with. But in the comics, the Ancient One was this Asian guy. And I can definitely see where people are coming from when they say, oh, they're whitewashing the Ancient One, boo on Marvel, yada 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 yada. But I will say this, in Tilda Swinton's defense, she does a really great job. She is great as the Ancient One, and I love how there's a little shroud of mystery to her. You don't really fully understand what is the deal with this character until much later in the movie. Now, I am completely for a movie that's based off a book or a comic to stick as close to the source material as possible. However, I do have to say, just by looking at images of the Ancient One from the comics, he looks like a racist stereotype to me, and it just doesn't seem like a design that would be acceptable. And if the movie had made the Ancient One an Asian man, it would have gone the route of, oh, the old Asian man teaches the white guy magic. And that itself is something that people have an issue with, especially in movies like Avatar or Dances with Wolves. The Ancient One is kind of a lose-lose situation to me, but I think with what they ended up doing, it wasn't a bad choice. It actually worked out very well for the film. And people who want to argue about the Ancient One, hey, that's totally fine. I'm not here to change your opinion. I'm just here to give my opinion. And the rest of the cast is also really good. Chiwetel Ejiofor, Benedict Wong, Rachel McAdams, Mads Mikkelsen, they all are really good with the material that they're given. And they also take the material seriously, but not too seriously, because it is a Marvel Cinematic Universe film. It is lighthearted, it does have humor to it, and they do kind of acknowledge the sillier moments, which is something that Marvel's always done since Iron Man, and they do a really good job at it. The movie is also really well paced. By the time we got to the beginning of the third act, I thought we were in the middle of the second act. So that really goes to show how well paced the movie is. The editing is really good, and it just moves very quickly. Although, if I did have a problem with it, because the movie moves so quickly, I don't feel like we spent that much time getting to know Stephen Strange before his tragic accident. I feel like they just kind of rushed into the accident and him going to Nepal to learn magic from the Ancient One. And when you look at Iron Man and even the first Captain America, when we are first introduced to Tony Stark and Steve Rogers, we get a really good chunk of time getting to know these characters before they become Iron Man and Captain America, respectively. And here, I think they did rush, but what we get is pretty good. I'm not saying it's bad, I just wish there was more. And then the other problem I have with the movie is the villain. The villain's name is Kekulus. I think that's how you pronounce it. I'm just pronouncing it the way it's spelled. But anyway, Mads Mikkelsen plays that character, and Mads Mikkelsen has proven himself to be a really good actor in stuff like Casino Royale and Hannibal. So we know he's not a bad actor at all. But he's not really given that much material to work with. His role is kind of shallow, and it is a problem that Marvel does have. I mean, I'll say this, to be honest. I don't think Marvel's villain problem is as bad as people make it out to be. I mean, hell, I'm one of the few guys that thinks Ultron is one of their best villains. But they do fumble in characters like Whiplash, Malekith, or Ronan. And this character here is just another lesser Marvel villain. I wish he was a little more interesting, and I do kind of wish that Marvel would get better at portraying their villains, because sometimes they can do really good. Like Alexander Pierce in Winter Soldier, I thought was another good villain that nobody talks about. I do like the Red Skull. Loki in both Thor and the Avengers is really good. And I think Zemo from Civil War is their best villain. So we know that Marvel has had good villains before. It's just, I think they need to improve on other villains, especially for future movies. But anyway, it's a problem, but it's not something that ruins the movie. Because in the end, Doctor Strange is another very fun Marvel movie. It's well-paced, the action and visual effects are incredible and exciting, the characters are great, the actors do a really good job, it's funny, it has some dramatic moments, and overall, I'd say it's definitely worth seeing in your lifetime, especially on a big screen. You're not going to get the full impact of this movie unless you see it in 3D, because, whoo boy, this thing is trippy. Just don't do anything. Don't take acid. Don't smoke weed before going into this movie, because I feel like you're gonna lose your mind over this. I mean, I got dizzy watching this in 2D. I can't imagine what you do if you were on drugs watching this. And it should be noted that I do not encourage the use of drugs at all. Just putting that out there. And that's my review for Doctor Strange. I really do like the movie, but I don't love it. I think maybe because I had some expectations, so I was a little disappointed in areas. But this could be another Guardians of the Galaxy where I watch it again and end up loving it. So we'll see what happens on a second viewing. But until that second viewing, I hope you enjoyed this review. Leave a comment down below and tell me what your thoughts are on the movie, if and when you've seen it. And as always, this is the real Mr. Robinson telling you, there's only one.